how did you get into Portlandia? How did that come about?
Well, as one will read in the book, actually performing and acting was really what I loved doing as a kid. I mean, I was continually engaged in sort of an impresario role in my neighborhood, putting on plays, musicals, Duran Duran cover band called Lil D Duran Duran. Cover band is generous, we just lip synced. Our instruments were made of wood. But anyway, you know, that desire to kind of insert myself into a situation through dance or spectacle or speaking was very strong, and kind of the way that I really interpreted or dealt with or made sense of any situation. So I did drama and theater, but when music found me, it kind of, you know, took over and became the force and the lens through which I saw everything. But so I think people at first, when I was doing Portlandia, were kind of surprised, like, oh, I didn't know that you like to do this, and I was like, yeah, I really do like to do this. But it was as organic as Slater Kinney in that Fred and I were friends. You know, we weren't sort of plucked out of the world by producers to be in a show together. He and I were making sketches under the moniker Thunder Ant, and we would just make these very kind of very clunky little like sketches. Feminist Bookstore was one of the early ones, but they didn't really have a plot, and we just kind of did a lot of like quick edits, and they were just for our friends. And eventually, we realized we had a shared sensibility, and we developed a chemistry, and we pitched that as a show. But it happened in the most fortunate way, which is that it was a labor of love, and it was an extension of our friendship, which I think happens now. You see it in television, at least in America, like with Broad City or Girls or these shows, Master of None, which is that great No Aziz Ansari show, where you can just tell that it's someone that is being themselves, and their television show is sort of an extension of their point of view. So I feel like it was kind of the right channel for me. And then something like Transparent was just kind of a stroke of luck, and working with someone, Jill Soloway, who we'd kind of been circling each other for a few years, wanting to do something. Wow.
So is that something that you think you'll be doing a lot more of in different, I mean, I guess I'm just looking at you've got the writing, you've got the music, you've got the acting and writing for the small screen. You know, how are you just going to kind of like look at the next few years and be like, okay, well, I'm going to do whatever I feel like doing? Or, you know, it doesn't, I feel like it doesn't feel that arbitrary. I guess I'm very deliberate, and I definitely work a lot and work hard. But I think writing, and I mean not just writing nonfiction, but I love writing and creating and producing content. So I think I'll focus on that. And then if I find a way of inserting myself as a performer into that narrative, then I will. But that's really where my interests lie. Even though I do like performing, I get to do that every so often. Yeah. So, do you have any projects coming up that are going to be kind of a new direction for you? Or are you going to? I mean, we were just talking about this last night. How there's like this, when someone asks you that, you feel bad just being like, no, there's nothing. I'm not doing anything. But I am like, we're shooting Transparent again in February. This December, I'm doing more touring with Slater Kinney. We start writing Portlandia in May. We'll shoot it. So I feel good. It's okay. You don't have to be like, yeah, actually, I'm going to go into motor racing now and conquer that world. You know, no, that's 2017. Okay, yeah, we'll look forward to it. Thank you. Just getting back to the writing, I was just wondering, you know, reading is probably a huge part of what you do, and you've written so kind of eloquently in here about, you know, when you traveled the country, you read different books that were like set in different states. So you read Joseph Mitchell when you were in New York City, you know, and you read Joan Didion essays when you were in California. You know, how did you kind of, I guess, was that part of your sort of coming of age as a writer, or starting to think about writing and literature in that way? Yeah, I feel like I wasn't an avid reader until I was in college. I mean, I read out of necessity and for assignments in school, but
After traveling, I found that it's so peripatetic and it's so jarring that reading, it kept me in a single place. So even though I was in a different city every night, like I remember reading Nathaniel Hawthorne's Marble Fawn when I was in Europe, and it takes place mostly in Italy. And I just thought, okay, I'm in Italy right now. And that was very helpful. Or I would read like The Quiet American by Graham Greene. It was just like, I just wanted to be somewhere. And I wanted to return to the same place. And if I couldn't return to the same bed or the same room every night, I could return to the same characters and the same story. So they really held me. And I think books still do that for me. And I think that's why I value them so much and read all the time. Because it's a way of returning. It's a way of existing. There's a steadiness to it that I really love.
Wow. So what